All right, 10-minute snack. Everyone knows the rules. Let's eat. Okay, so today I'm fortunate to have a snack with Lillie Kane, YouTube extraordinaire. How you doing, Lillie? Thanks for having a snack with me.
I am great. I am actually getting pretty hungry and ready to have some meat later on after this, but I'm doing good. Let's talk.
I got a date with the gym, and then I have my steak waiting for me. But that's what I have after this. So I want to ask you a question about a word that you use all the time, and I actually love this word, and I don't think most people even know what it means. And I think you maybe know what I'm going to say. What is a hyper-carnivore?
So a hypercarnivore definitionally is an animal whose diet is 70% or more animal foods, and then the rest of the diet comes from the plant kingdom. The reason I started saying this more often is just because I was someone saying that I was eating a carnivore diet, and then people would say, wait, you just put garlic powder on your meat. You can't have garlic powder on a carnivore diet. Or sometimes if I want to have some blueberries, and I just found it really confusing for people who were trying to learn about a carnivore diet, which to me, and definitionally can mean all meat. It can just get confusing for people if they see me doing something where I'm having some seasonings, some condiments, or a little extra flavor flav. So I think that calling it a hypercarnivore can just make it more easy for people to understand that, hey, she likes meat, but sometimes she likes some flavor.
Yeah, I find like labels to be helpful and a hindrance at the same time. So I have a love-hate relationship with them. But I love the word hypercarnivore because I find it what really interesting is some of the research I've done is even omnivores, the majority of omnivores, like over 70% of omnivores, specialize in either eating plants or animals. And and by specialize, I mean 70% or more. So like when you say like hyper carnivore, I'm like, that's probably a very accurate description of like what we are like as a species. Like some people say we're facultative carnivores, or some people just say we're omnivores. I'm like, I think hyper carnivore is pretty much like that nails it.
I first heard it from Dr. Sarah Zalvadar, and then I
Ah,
had Dr. Ken Berry on my channel calling it a super carnivore. I looked up super carnivore and it just takes you directly to hyper carnivore, but it also works out with people if they watch my channel, they see that I'm kind of hyper. So they thought that I just meant that I'm like a very, like very loud carnivore. But yeah, people also get confused because you would think it would be a hypo carnivore instead of hyper. So I definitely have had people leave comments saying, hey, this gets confusing because you would think it would mean like beef only or some sort of extreme carnivore when it actually means the opposite. So I wish it was hypocarnivore or semi-carnivore, modified carnivore, but I didn't make up the definition.
that's what I kind of find confusing with the word, but I mean, I like it because of the classification, but hyper carnivore, you would think like, what is more carnivore than a carnivore? Because that's what and hypo would be like less than carnivore. So you would think like that would be the terminology. Uh, so in your hyper carnivore diet, uh, I'm curious, what are the hypo carnivore foods that you include most often, meaning not meat-based foods? Is it just seasonings? Are there other regular things? Some fruit?
So lately, actually, I think with the summertime, I've just been kind of wanting some more fruit. It's been just more fresh and even more local, even because like a lot of the fruit, we both live in St. Louis. We'll see it in the grocery stores coming from Nicaragua, Mexico, and while I think it's fine to have those kinds of fruits, it's just not as fresh, and it tends to be kind of moldy and rotten. And honestly, I think fruit can be kind of expensive considering how much value I'm getting out of it nutritionally speaking. But lately, for this summertime, I've actually been having even today I had a banana. I'm probably going to have some grapes. I have usually like blueberries though throughout the main part of the year, and then seasoning. So I'm not a coffee drinker. I've never liked coffee, but I really don't like you said, I don't like putting myself in a box or having labels. And so if like Dr. Berg was saying that people, if they have dandruff, they may want to consider more fermented foods like kimchi or sauerkraut. I don't have dandruff anymore thanks to a carnivore diet, but I do have an itchy scalp. So I was thinking that maybe that would be helpful. So I was doing sauerkraut last month. So it's just kind of what I don't overdo on the fruits and veg, but whatever I just want to have.
You know what's really interesting that you said there that not many people talk about, and I talk about it with like people I'm around, they're like, that's really expensive. You're going to buy XYZ. I'm like, if you actually like, if I always thought like if things were priced based on like nutrients, like the entire grocery store would look totally different. Because I was buying some milk from a local farmer, and I mean, it is expensive, but I'm like, if you compare that to like soda, it's infinitely cheaper because like soda has zero nutrition. Like this is like very high nutrition. So it's just a really interesting kind of way to change your thinking around things. And like meat is a perfect example. Like meat's more expensive. Why is it more expensive? It's like the nutrient dense thing in the grocery store. All the other stuff cheaper, not so much.
Exactly. I feel that same way. Whenever I wanted to get some black olives, but I don't want to be having them out of a can. And I do it once in a while, so it's not going to be that big of a deal, I suppose, if I didn't have it out of a glass jar. But honestly, I never ended up buying olives just because I couldn't find it in a glass jar and I was going to be particular about it. And just to find organic, it's really hard to find it. And even if I went and I looked at different olive jars, you turn it over and the ingredients label, sugar, corn syrup somehow. And like they're just putting other ingredients inside where I just want some flippin' black olives. And unfortunately, if I wanted some black olives in a glass jar, it would be like $5. And I'm like, what am I getting out of this?
Yep. Okay, so I got two more questions I gotta ask you. One is, you are quite fit. Are you doing something? Oh, we know about diet, and we'll come back to that for the final question. But are you doing workouts, cardio? Like, what is it? How are you supplementing this diet?
I walk every day for about an hour. So that's something I do at first thing in the morning. I'll do about a 15-minute walk. And then usually after my first bigger meal of the day for lunch, so around like 11, 12 o'clock. And then after dinner, I'll do my last walk of the day, mostly not necessarily for exercise purposes, but for sleep. And I do sit a lot during the day. So just to get up and get some movement is great. And then 5 days of the week, I do go and lift at the gym. One day I'll do chest, back, shoulders, legs, and arms for about 45 to 55 minutes, and then end the day with about 5 to 10 minutes of abs.
Okay, so you're doing a decent amount of exercise, I'll say, workout. It's funny because I walk every afternoon because I know, like, I have a couple of vices. One is just a sedentary lifestyle. It's like if I'm not doing dentistry, I'm sitting, and if I'm working at home, I'm sitting. And so I walk before lunch. I'm like, that gets me up. It breaks up the day, freshens my brain up. I don't do it at all for like, I'm gonna go burn 50 calories or whatever. But it's so much just all the other stuff, get sun exposure. I'm the weirdo walking around in the neighborhood without a shirt on before lunch, but I'm like, I get the sun. It's all those things I was just mentioning. It's like it became a very important part of my daily routine in 2020, and it has stuck. Okay, so one final thing we know. Okay, so you're working out 5 days a week. You're walking 2 hours a day. That's a lot of walking, but that's good for you. So a half hour in the morning, half hour in the evening?
15, it's like 15, 20, 15, 20, 15, 20. So it's 3 walks in the day.
Oh, you do an afternoon walk as well?
Yeah, in the middle of the day. So the morning, middle, and the end. Yeah.
You're doing 3 times as good as I'm only doing the midday one. That's excellent. I need to get on your level. Maybe I'll pick one or the other. Sometimes I do an evening walk. But that's not regular. That's hit and miss based on weather and when dinner is and all that other stuff. Okay, final question about food, because that's what most people want to know about. So you were doing like pretty strict carnivore label for a while.
Mm-hmm.
How long were you doing that for?
Honestly, when I first started eating a carnivore diet, I thought I was eating a keto diet. It was just that I slowly started removing the cauliflower rice, cauliflower pizza crust, cauliflower wraps, cauliflower. So I was eating a ketogenic diet and then just slowly was removing the vegetables, not hearing about this carnivore diet. So I was just eating meat and I didn't think anything of it. And then one day I just made a video about what I was eating in a day. And then people were like, that's a carnivore diet. I'm like, okay. Sure. So I couldn't tell you when I first started, because when I first started eating a carnivore diet, it was never my intention to like eat only meat. But I would say strict, maybe, I don't even know, 5 to 6 months. Okay.
And where I was kind of going with this is, I was wondering if like there was something like, I need some hypo carnivore foods because I'm not feeling this good, or I just want variety in my life, or what's kind of like the underlying motivation? And is it the spice of life? Is it something you feel better, XYZ?
It's honestly to show people that you don't have to eat strict carnivore to be healthy. And it was through so many comments on videos of like, yep, you can't have vegetables because you'll die if you eat a vegetable, or you can't have fruit because if you have some fruit, you're going to have fatty liver disease. And granted, I think having too much of anything, you can have problems and complications with, but I want to just be a leader and a role model, especially for people even my age, that we don't have to, a lot of people, it's not going to be realistic for them to do a carnivore diet. And it sounds very intimidating. So if I can just be kind of a leader and show that, hey, if you want some garlic powder and it works for you, awesome.
Yeah, I just see like the general public quite often, and like we talk in like these nutrition circles, and we kind of talk like to semi extremes, like, but like really the general person just needs, in my opinion, they should be including a significant lot more meat than they are, like, but it's very small amounts right now. Like the world is on basically a plant-based diet. Like over 70% of the food people eat is plant-based, mostly grains, sugar, soy. Like that makes the grain, sugar, soy, that's like 90% of the world's food. So I'm always just like, we need to start moving in the right direction. But it's just very interesting. Your answer is, I'm going to start eating fruits and vegetables to show that they won't kill you. Because I mean, obviously mainstream is like the exact opposite. Like, I'm going to eat some meat and show you that I'm not going to die. But sometimes we need that balancing force. Well, Lillie, I love your YouTube channel because it is like a voice of reason and balance, I'll say, and lifestyle things. I'm not a very balanced person. Like, I tend to be an extremist. So I mean, I really do enjoy your channel. Everyone, should watching this should definitely subscribe. It's Lillie Kane. You type that in, you'll show up, right? Anywhere else people should go?
I'm on Instagram, TikTok. I just go to post and then I leave because I think it's like kind of a toxic place. But anywhere, Facebook, find me anywhere with Lillie Kane.
Sounds good. Thank you, Lillie, for having the snack with me. And then I will look forward to having you on for a full meal in the near future.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good day.
Snack time's over. Did you enjoy the snack? If so, drop me a comment. Let me know if we should dive deeper and do a full meal on this topic. Also, P.S. if you liked the snacks, you're going to love our bites. A daily email bite, a golden nugget, better than a pasture-raised egg yolk. All right, maybe not that good, but it is a daily bite to optimize your health and nutrition with a meat-based diet. Access right now is totally free. Link below. See you in the bites.